Silksong was arguably the most anticipated game outside of GTA 6. It became nearly impossible to watch a gaming direct from any company without seeing people begging for even a snippet of news. While it's hard to say how many were genuinely excited versus just riding the wave of memes, its eventual release proved the undeniable impact by crashing Steam the moment it launched. This is to say that Silksong has become the poster child for endlessly anticipated sequels. It's a personal, almost comical longing. Everyone has their own Silksong, the one game they can't stop waiting for. And this game is Kirby Air Riders for me. I cannot speak for other people, but I will attempt to explain the appeal of the original Air Ride and why a sequel was always one of my biggest unrealistic hopes to happen. The upcoming release practically makes me want to start making daily unscripted videos over my carpet. Hello everybody, today I want to talk about the economics of this carpet and why these streets would make a perfect track for Kirby Air Riders. Nintendo themselves made a pretty big deal out of Air Riders reveal. It was featured in the first Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, introduced with a CGI teaser, and followed by the confirmation that Sakurai would return as a director, for a sequel to a spin-off entry that originally received harsh reviews and only sold around 1 million copies. It's a respectable amount of effort normally reserved for mainline entries. However, for those outside the bubble, it's still puzzling why Kirby Air Riders of all titles is receiving such special treatment. A mere spin-off gets not one but two dedicated directs, while Nintendo's arguably most expensive production of all time is largely marketed by the passion of random YouTube videos. It can genuinely be hard to understand why Air Riders is such a big deal, not out of envy or malice, but from a place of honest curiosity. Where does all this excitement come from when there was never even a major outcry for a sequel or any real push from fans demanding one? Kirby Air Ride basically captured lightning in a bottle. While the standard racing part was passable and top right fairly forgettable, it's City Trial that carries the game's entire legacy. In this mode, up to 4 players can explore an open sandbox, collecting power-ups to upgrade whatever machine they're riding. You constantly have to keep an eye on your opponents and think if you go on the offensive and hunt them down, or play it safe until the randomly selected minigame at the end begins. City Trial can essentially be seen as an early pioneer of the Battle Royale genre. Everyone is dropped into a single space, scavenging for upgrades and staying alert to the looming threat of others. When judging the longevity and potential of a multiplayer title, there's always one important question to ask. Is this gameplay entertaining, even without an online mode? If I can enjoy a multiplayer mode by my own with just CPUs, then the basic gameplay carries incredible potential and doesn't rely on extrinsic motivators like achievements to keep you engaged. The best multiplayer games don't require countless unlockables to increase replayability, because their inherent gameplay core is a fundamental intrinsic entertaining value that derives from the mere state of playing. This is why I still enjoy the occasional round of City Trial to this day and why I don't even bother completing the achievements anymore. Another mainstay of City Trial's lasting appeal is the open sandbox itself. The city isn't particularly large, but it's packed with small discoveries that are easy to miss during the chaos of a regular round. That's exactly why the free round mode exists, to let players explore at their own pace and appreciate the little details most boring adults will probably never notice. This is how I primarily spent my time in Air Ride back in the day, when I had the freedom to simply wander around the map without any extrinsic motivation to collect things. I located every secret spot that existed purely to be discovered. In some cases you stumble upon little flowers that must serve as a little wink from the developers to anyone curious enough to reach that place. And I'm not talking about superficial corners or obvious Easter eggs, like the miniature town beneath Wispy Woods. This mountain area spawns no boxes or machines in regular City Trial, yet you can fully climb it just for fun. The cave beneath the volcano is only accessible on foot, and the very top of the map can only be reached by overcoming a small platforming challenge without a machine. To be fair, most of those empty spaces surely exist due to Air Ride's lack of polish and missing time to properly contextualize every spot with substantial gameplay implementations. But the point stands. The City Trial map was designed with self-made stories in mind. My siblings and I would often choose free run, pick our main machines, pick a specific area of the map, and pretend it was our house. The multi-layered building was, and always will be, a shopping mall in our minds, and to this day, those little flowers are my Mew under the truck. When someone asks me where to find a specific location in City Trial, I can tell them instantly. But if you ask me where to find a street in the town I have lived my whole life in, I'll say I'm new here. I wish I could praise the racing mode in Top Right just as strongly, but they've always felt more like serviceable bonuses. As I got older, I started to recognize the potential of Air Ride and found Top Right surprisingly entertaining, especially when chasing achievements. Even in these less fleshed out modes, there are a few secrets to uncover, and to give Top Right the credit it deserves, its short tracks often feature more interactive elements than you would expect. However, it would be biased to say that the racing mode helped build Air Ride's lasting legacy. City Trial basically carried the whole group project, while the actual racing part shamelessly slapped its name on the retail box. It's like when the salad ends up being more delicious than the steak. There's a special kind of magic in these entertaining modes that unintentionally completely overshadow the original game's initial major draw, which is why Sakurai claimed that fans know the real appeal of Air Ride isn't the races. Despite City Trial's iconic status among fans, it's one of those modes that needs to be played to be truly understood. To help with that, Nintendo released a demo 2 weeks ahead of launch, allowing players to freely access tutorials whenever they like, timed races and City Trial rounds. For a second I even thought I looked at Smash Ultimate's title screen. Obviously it helps to bridge the wait until release, but I don't think I have ever played so much tutorial in my life, just to desperately squeeze out every last drop of Air Riders in between the time frames. Never would I have thought a sound effect could bring me so much joy. Watching the timer go down is a kind of torture in itself. At this point I can play Floria Fields one-handed, with my feet, blind, and sometimes I even dream of it. I've tried winning by doing absolutely nothing, reached random sections and returned in hopes of unlocking a hell room or uncovering other secrets. Found out grass is spawning while moving, yeah, I need a release. Luckily there were multiple windows to try out the main attractions. I was pleasantly surprised to see that we could actually race on at least 3 tracks, and without going too much into detail, all of them seem to deliver the potential I was hoping for in the Air Ride mode. Even so, all eyes are still on City Trial and it feels more different than I expected. The general pacing is much faster and the ability to quickly swap machines without hopping off your own dramatically increases the gameplay speed. The map is clearly larger, but with 16 active players, the openness narrows and I often feel like someone was already nearby, waiting to attack. From the short gameplay sessions I was able to enjoy, this new City Trial offers a more active, participant-driven flow compared to the original, but it will take more time to properly evaluate it. What I definitely appreciate so far is the number of little discoveries and interactive elements I've already stumbled upon. For a mere online trial, there's a surprising amount of Air Riders to experience, but the best part is how much content is still being kept under wraps. We haven't had a taste of Top Ride, Road Trip, My Machine or the full roster of playable characters or machines, which gives us more to look forward to, although this limited online trial has already surpassed my playtime of some full releases. So how is Air Riders my Silksong aside from me using a popular title for attention? The setup of both games is vastly different and unlike Silksong, we didn't even know Air Riders was ever going to happen. The long wait for Silksong made some people believe it might have been cancelled, but I don't think its release was ever in question, only when it would finally happen. Air Ride was a one-time spin-off and there was never a reason to seriously assume a follow-up. It would have been perfectly acceptable for Nintendo to not consider Air Riders in any capacity, and I would have never been mad, which is why Air Riders is such a left-field announcement I still can't comprehend. I always wanted a sequel, but never expected one. That's why the only time I ever mentioned it on my channel was years ago in a discussion about potential remakes. The conversation was never about a successor, but at most a remake or a remaster. Even a Nintendo Switch Online release through the GameCube app on Switch 2 would have been perfectly fine, but going by the information presented in both directs and my gameplay experience with the online demo, Air Riders will be a sequel, remake and celebration of the franchise all in one. Silksong was universally praised and it seems the final game satisfied nearly every anticipating fan. There was no major controversy or widespread disappointment tied to its long development time. Just a well-executed experience that lived up to most players' expectations. Air Riders is shaping up to follow the same path, a faithful sequel that appears to address the original's shortcomings on every level. And while it may be a bit overly optimistic to judge the quality this early, there's currently no justifiable reason to assume otherwise. Upcoming titles like GTA 6 are highly anticipated, but as I mentioned earlier, it's hard to tell how much of that excitement turned into a meme, and whether the game can actually deliver on its massive expectations. Recent years trained us to approach big budget productions with a degree of skepticism, so there's still a chance GTA could flop. The pre-release cycle of a game is often a strong indicator of its quality, while some titles deliberately manage expectations or conceal major features, as seen with the Hidden Depths in Tears of the Kingdom. There are no such shenanigans with Air Riders. The first direct essentially confirmed everything we needed to know about the caliber of the sequel, immediately brushing away any potential concern fans of the original may have had, while the second presentation sealed the deal. The often criticized aspects are now significantly improved through more fleshed out mechanics, a diverse roster of playable characters, proper boss fights, and a city trial mode that stays true to the spirit of Air Ride. I'm almost inclined to change my channel name into Channel Kirby Air Riders. Additionally, we are even getting a teased story campaign with full CGI cutscenes. The only way I could see Air Riders being underwhelming is if the new city trial mode suffers from unexpected severe balancing issues. If all those promising cutscenes lead to a disappointing story final, or if the online mode turns out to be as lackluster as it has been in many other Nintendo multiplayer games. But even in the worst case scenario, it won't take away from the fact that I'm getting something I've never expected in the first place. Excuse my long-winded hype ramble before release, but the main reason I'm so optimistic about Air Rider's quality, and what might be the most important reveal of all, is having Sakurai as the director. Like any creator, his games can have flaws, but he's arguably one of the most respected developers in the industry, and if you have watched any presentation he has hosted, it's clear how passionate he is about crafting experiences that genuinely resonate with the audience and not investors. If it were any other director, there would be a real reason to worry whether Air Riders could truly capture the spirit of Air Ride, but considering the experience Sakurai has gained since the original, combined with a likely larger budget and development time, I'm willing to take the risk and be unapologetically optimistic about this game.